Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the United States, and I'm coming to you today with my video for my May bundle bonus using the Grassy Grove bundle. This is a bundle that's in the January to June mini catalog and is also carried over into the new annual catalog, still at that 10% off bonus price. So I am excited to show you my project. What's bundle bonus? Well, if you purchase that bundle from me by the end of the month of May, then I will send you the components to make the card that we are going to make today. So that's as easy as that. And I'm going to turn my camera around so we can get started with the project. So this is the card that I've designed for today. And I wanted something with a background that reminded me a little bit of the backgrounds and the papers in the New Horizons 6x6 Designer Series papers, because sadly these will be discontinued with the end of this January to June mini catalog. So after next month, those papers won't be available. So I wanted something that would give the same feel, and I did that using my blending brushes. So let me show you how I did it. And first, let me show you the bundle that we're using today, the Grassy Grove bundle. So here is the stamp set, and it's got some definite pretty outdoor images and the deer, and then some sentiments with a really pretty font. And I especially like this. Sometimes you need to know that someone really cares, that someone is me. Those are the ones we'll be using today. And for the dies, the Grove dies, we have dies that cut out all of these images. And then we've got a beautiful background one that I'm actually going to be using for another card. And we have a couple more deer. We have one that cuts out this one, and then we have two others, plus some leaf dies. And this actually cuts out the edge of this, and we're going to be using that today. So we're starting off with a basic white card base, standard size for, in this case, an A2 card, but it works with an A4 card as well. And we're going to set that aside for now, because what I did for this was cut another piece of basic white that's the same size as the card front. So in this case, for an A2 card, 5.5 by 4.25 inches, or if you're working with an A4 card, it would be 14.9 centimeters by 10.5 centimeters. So we're starting with that, and you'll see why we're not just working on the card itself. I'm going to bring in some grid paper so that we can work on this surface. We're going to be using, like I said, the blending brushes. So I'm going to use my blending brushes, like I said, to make the background. And so we're going to start with the yellow. I'm going to bring in Daffodil Delight because I wanted an image of the sun shining. And so the reason I have my grid paper is we always start off of the cardstock because there tends to be kind of a dark blob of ink. Although for the Daffodil Delight, I may use that. We'll use that. I think that will work. And we want just the rays of the sun shining darker at the edge and then fanning out to lighter. So there we have our sun. And I'm bringing in shaded spruce, and we're going to use that for the grass and also for some of the stamping. And I am going to start this off of the cardstock. And we'll go about 1/3 of the way up or so. And this is a little dark, but it is going to be covered, so I'm not too concerned about that little dark spot. And I do have one blending brush dedicated for each color. So one for the greens, one for the yellows, one for the blues that I'm going to use for the Balmy blue for the sky. And I like this, that it's kind of an uneven, you know, it doesn't go on smoothly or evenly, but to me that gives the look of clouds in the midst of the blue sky, and I really like that. So we're just filling in the spots now with the blue. And so to me, again, this is reminiscent now of that New Horizons paper. And that's what I was going for. So I think that looks pretty good. While we have the Balmy blue, we'll do a little bit of stamping. And so we're going to, I have my stamp for the inside of the card and this for the card front. And I did notice, and sometimes this happens with the red rubber stamps, that it doesn't stamp straight. And so by that I mean, if I line this up with my grid paper, it tends to go up. So I'm going to compensate for that by twisting it a little bit the other way till I get a feel for about how I need to have it. Yes, so that it will be straight, and then I will stamp it on my card, making that little adjustment. And so then that makes it straight. And that's a really good thing to do when you are working with the rubber stamps. So we're going to do the same thing with the inside. I'm going to move that out of the way. And we're going to check this stamp as well. And that one also, that one curves down a little bit. So if we just make that adjustment, it will stamp straight on the inside, and that's what we want. So we are done with the Balmy blue, and we're gonna bring in the shaded Spruce to do some more stamping. And for the inside, I'm also using this little grouping of what looks like wildflowers. So we're gonna make sure that that is inked well, which it is. And we will stamp in the corner. And actually we don't need this anymore. So we have the inside done, and we'll set that aside for now. And so while we have the shaded Spruce, I have a scrap of basic white, and it is the same width as my card front, which in this case is 5.5 inches. Or if you're working in metric, then it would be, the width of the die is 14.5 centimeters. So you need a piece of cardstock that is that length. That's also 5 3/4 inches, but we only need 5.5 because it only has to go the length of the card front. And so you'll see the length of the stamp is not that wide. It's the die that's that wide. And you'll see why that's important later. Since this is such a large stamp, I'm going to bring ink to stamp until I have some good coverage all the way across. And we're going to stamp it right at the bottom. I just put my finger in there. Let's make sure that's got some good ink. So I want it on the stamp and not on me. We're going to stamp it right at the bottom. And then this we're going to cut out with that die. And I am going to bring my scrap in first before we do that. You can do this before or after you cut it out. It doesn't matter. But we're going to bring in the blending brush again and use that shaded Spruce. And we're going to fill it in so that the white spaces are also green. Because it will, the die will leave a white space all around, especially at the bottom there. And I don't want it to be white, I want it to be green. Well, we'll leave this right here actually, because we're going to use it again. But first I'm going to cut out this piece using the die, which lays like this. And as you can see, it's a little bit longer than my paper, but it's going to cut that section off for me. So if you have a wider card, you can go up to 14.5 centimeters. And then that will fit across then the width of your card. So I'm going to do that and be right back. And I actually did trim off just a little bit off the bottom because I wanted a little less white space there. And the reason that we cut that out before we finish stamping is I'm going to lay it here to tell me where I'm going to position the rest of my stamps. So I've got the evergreen trees that are going to go on the right hand side of the card. And I want it positioned so that the trees are about here. Oops. Okay, let's try that again. Except I stamped on the wrong thing. All All right, so guess what? We need it positioned here. Luckily, that's going to be covered up and it's not going to matter. Let's try that again. So we've got some good ink coverage again. And again, I wanted a little bit to the left of that plant and by the sun and hidden behind that a little bit. So that's one. And we're going to take the other grouping of trees and bring that ink pad in. And do the same thing. We're going to position this. And in this case, I want the trees here. And then we just have one more thing to stamp. And we're going to do it in soft suede. And I have a scrap of soft suede as well, because we are going to stamp the deer. And we're going to cut that out, and we're going to cut out the two smaller deer. So I will do that and be right back. All right, so now it's a matter of just putting everything together. To put the large piece on the card front, I am using my multi-purpose liquid glue. We'll hide that little mistake there. Nobody will be the wiser except for you watching this video. Don't tell anyone. And then to create some depth, I'm bumping this up with some Stampin' Dimensionals. Making sure to hit a couple of places near the top. And we'll take the paper off. And then we'll position it at the bottom. And I'm doing it right along that bottom edge. And so now to adhere the deer, the first one, the biggest one, is going to go here. And so we're going to put some dimensionals on the back so that he also is looking more toward the forefront of our scene. And so he'll go like this between the groupings of trees. And then for this little guy, he pretty much is going to sit here. So I'm just going to use glue dots for him. So he looks like he's kind of sniffing and tasting that little plant. And then this one is a larger one too. So I'm going to again put some dimensionals behind him. And this time I'm going to use my minis, since he is narrower. I think these will work better. And we'll put him over to this side. So that gives that a little bit of depth. So hopefully it looks like they're in the foreground and the trees are in the background. So what do you think? I hope you like it. If you do, leave me some love in the comments. And remember to take advantage of Bundle Bonus. Just order the bundle for me and I will send you the components to make this card. And I will also send you a PDF with videos using the same bundle from other demonstrators, including another one from me. So I hope you like it. I will see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching my channel. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the likes and the subscribers. Hang around and check out what else I have to offer. I have cards, scrapbook pages, home decor items, tips, techniques. I do paper pumpkin alternatives every month, so there's lots there to see. So I hope you will join me again soon. Take care, everyone. Happy stamping.